Who I believe to be the true birthers of choosing beggars, it's entitled parents.
Our first one is from Stuck in Your Room. My sister, 15 female, has always been selfish. Ever since she was a child, she would never share, never do anything for anyone else, but would expect everyone to do everything for her. Obviously, as a small child, that's understandable, but she's never grown out of it. My parents have always dismissed this as just her personality. My sister has always been rude to me specifically. She demands I do things for her. She demands I make her food. She demands I pay for her things. She demands I do this, that, and the other. But if I ask the same, she shouts at me. I don't remember the last time she's done anything for anyone out of the kindness of her heart. She just shouts. There's been times I've been violently ill and bedridden due to a chronic illness, and I asked her if she could get me some water, and she shouted at me. Even though I make her food and drink multiple times a day, because if I don't, she just won't eat. She's also rude about everything. Anytime someone talks to her, she has a tone or shouts. She's so difficult to have a conversation with. I say nice things and she's just rude to me, and screams and is awful. And my parents say nothing, but if I dare talk half as bad as she does, I get told off. I've mentioned countless times the favoritism and how they see her as the perfect little angel, and they coddle her and rarely tell her off, and has never given her discipline, yet they always have to me, and they've acted like I was crazy. She's so manipulative. She always plays the victim and turns my parents against me when she's in the wrong. I told my parents that one day people are going to have enough of her in the real world and I'm going to have to cut contact if her behavior continues. And again, they didn't want to listen, and just thought it's because of sisterly love and it's normal sister behavior and not concerning behavior. Until this week, I went on a family reunion, and my cousins, 23 male and 12 male, humbled her. She was doing her normal toxic behavior. She was talking to them rudely and rolling her eyes as she does every day to people, and my 23-year-old cousin wasn't having it. He was like, "Listen, if you keep acting like this in the real world, you're going to get slapped. And she needs to cut her attitude," and my sister was rudely like, "Sure, okay," as if he was stupid. And my 12-year-old cousin added that he always feels like she judges him because she always glares at him. Obviously, my parents couldn't deny this, and it was actually a really big wake-up call. They realized her behavior isn't just to immediate family and isn't normal to outsiders. And she would do the same behavior to people she aren't as close as, not just her parents and sister. Now my parents are telling me that I can't get her food and water and she needs to do some things for herself, and they're forcing her to be independent, and they've been actually disciplining her when she's toxic. She is not taking it well. She's been screaming at me even though it's not my fault and I haven't done anything. It's a bit late, but I'm glad they're finally putting their foot down and no longer looking at her as the perfect little angel who can do no wrong. I just hope they actually stick to it. It's sad that the parents didn't listen to the OP from the start and had to hear it from other family members. I don't know if maybe they thought OP was jealous of the sister or what, but in the end, at least finally now they see the toxicity and are dealing with it. This next one is by Level Kaleidoscope 32. So, I'm a writer, and as much as I love working at home, sometimes I get cabin fever. Yep, I'm that person who parks at a table in Panera or a coffee shop with either a notebook or a laptop and writes my novel. Relevant to this story, I also enjoy sitting in the bar areas of some family restaurants. It's just the right level of noise and the food is usually good. Now, I should also note that if I'm sitting in a restaurant, I will try to moderate my conversations a little, especially if there are kids nearby. Less cursing, less vulgar subject matter, etc. But if I'm in a bar, I don't give a fuck. It's a bar. It's for grown-ups, and so are the conversations. If you bring your kids into a bar, you know what you're getting into. Sorry, not sorry. With that in mind, on this particular occasion, I was riding at a booth in the bar at a Chili's with headphones on, and a mom comes in with her kids. There was at least one toddler, and if I recall, a non-ambulatory infant. It's been about 15 years, so anyone besides mom and the oldest kid didn't really register. The oldest kid was a girl who was probably 8 or 9. She was sitting in the bench that was backed up against mine. Fine. I don't like that they let kids into the bar, but whatever. I just turned up my music a little. The girl was apparently not one to sit still in a restaurant. I was annoyed by the constant percussion against the bench, but whatever. I just was waiting for the sun to go down a little so I could switch to the other side of my own booth. It would have been shining right into my eyeballs. Fine, whatever. Well, then she starts leaning way over the back of the bench, clearly looking over my shoulder. I gave her a look, then gave her mom a look. Mom gave me a look that clearly said, "Don't you dare say anything to my kid." Fine, whatever. I kept writing. Kid kept leaning over the back of the bench. At this point, it's important to note that when I say I'm a writer, I mean I'm a writer of spicy romances. You probably see where this is going. I also have terrible handwriting. It's like Mayan hieroglyphs. So I'm generally not worried about people actually reading over my shoulder, which is why I made no effort to cover up what I was writing. That day, however, I was so focused on what I was working on and how annoyed I was at the little interloper, I forgot about the stack of notes I had next to me. A stack of typed notes. And finally, it happened. Over the noise of the bar, over the music in my headphones, I heard her ask loud enough for the whole bar to hear, "Mommy, what's orgasm?" For some reason, they left after that. The only thing I can think in this situation was that entitled mommy did not want to have to give the talk to her child. Hopefully the next restaurant they go into, the mom does a better job at managing her kids. And our final one is from Peony Island. So I have to share this story because it's too ridiculous not to, and random Redditors may appreciate it. Today I went to the local outlet mall to treat myself to some new shoes. I was sitting on the bench and putting my shoes back on after trying some new pairs on. I heard some ruckus and noticed this family, parents and 3 kids, walk by. The kids were acting out and being loud. They had taken the metal poles that staff used to get the shoes from the higher shelves and are trying to hit and poke their parents with them. The mom was laughing about it and egging them on, typical boys will be boys stuff. As I was bending over to adjust my sandal, one of the kids swung the pole and nearly hit me in the face. I worked with kids with severe behavioral issues for years, so I was a little shaken but knew how to respond. I quietly but firmly said, "Excuse me," to the kid so he'd get the thing out of my face. The kid barely blinked and walked away. Then the mother started shouting at me. I'm not normally the type to stereotype based on appearance, but she was the typical boy mom you see on social media. Face full of filler, dirty hair in a messy bun, orange tan, etc. She began screaming that her son wasn't even near me, and that her kids weren't doing anything. I pointed out that her kid nearly hit me in the face with a metal pole. She turned to her kid and started baby talking him, saying, "You did nothing wrong, she's making it up," etc., etc. She turned to me again and screamed that I could have moved. I rolled my eyes at the absurdity and started gathering my stuff to pay. She continued to shout things like, "Get out, move along, you should have moved," etc. I decided that there was no point in being polite, so I calmly said, "And perhaps you should be a parent and watch your kids." She continued to shout at me as I walked away. As I was waiting to pay, I saw her lurking by the door with her 300-pound stroller and glaring at me. I started laughing, like she's gonna beat me down in a shoe outlet in broad daylight. That must have pissed her off, so she walked away. I assumed she was gone, but when I left the store, her creepy husband was standing outside and staring me down. He followed me around the mall for a minute, but I eventually lost him. As I mentioned earlier, I worked with kids with severe behavior issues, including in a juvenile justice setting. I left that field not because of the kids, but because of the parents. From what I understand, it's become exponentially worse over the years. Going out in public used to be enjoyable, but I feel like people not supervising their kids is starting to become a broader societal issue. It felt so freeing to finally call out shitty parenting. You know, it seems like with these parents, great example, mom acting like a child, dad stalking people around the parking lot acting like he's gonna do some shit. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree, so I guess I'm really not shocked that these kids behave the way they do. They didn't really have a good pair of parents to work with. Alright, that's enough entitlement for the day. Well, that wraps up this episode of Entitled Parents. If you liked the video, please drop a like, share my content on all of your social media, subscribe if you haven't already, and make sure to hit that bell so you're notified every time I upload, and drop a comment down below. It really helps with the algorithm and helps new people find my channel. Thanks for watching, thanks to my patrons and super thanks contributors. Have a great day and stay safe out there.